anger, aggression, and restraint. Where does suppressed rage go? Imagine a pot of boiling water. What happens if you tightly close the lid and keep heating it? That's right. Sooner or later, an explosion will occur. Now here's the question. How is your anger different from this water? Do you think suppressing anger makes you a better person? That good people don't get angry? That controlling your emotions, moms, is a sign of strength and maturity? Here's an unexpected fact for you. People who constantly suppress their anger suffer from depression 3 times more often than those who know how to express it constructively. Moreover, chronic anger suppression can lead to serious health problems, from hypertension to stomach ulcers. What if I told you that your restraint might literally be killing you from the inside? That behind every forced smile, behind every swallowed, "it's fine, everything's okay," your body is paying a real price. Today we'll explore where your suppressed rage actually goes. And believe me, the answer will surprise you. Anger is one of the most taboo emotions in our society. From childhood, we're told, "Don't be angry. Good girls don't shout. Real men keep themselves in check." We learn to smile when everything is boiling inside, to say thank you to those who humiliate us, and to apologize for our needs. But what if all this emotional etiquette works against us? What if our ability to keep face has turned into slow self-destruction? Every person experiences anger several times a week. It's normal, it's natural, it's part of our biological survival program. But most of us prefer to suppress, hide, and ignore this anger. Today we'll talk about what actually happens to suppressed anger. You'll learn what processes are triggered in your brain when you once again swallow an offense. We'll examine where unexpressed aggression transforms and why it doesn't disappear but takes on other, sometimes more destructive forms. You'll understand what price your body pays for emotional restraint. And most importantly, you'll learn to work with anger so it serves you rather than destroying you from within. This isn't a call to become aggressive or ill-mannered. This is an invitation to have an honest conversation with yourself about your real feelings. Part 1. What happens in the brain during anger suppression? Let's start with a simple question. Where exactly is your anger born? Imagine your brain as an apartment building. In the basement lives an ancient primitive part, the limbic system. Right here in the amygdala the size of a walnut, your anger is born. When something unpleasant happens, someone cuts you off on the road, a colleague takes credit for your idea, your partner again forgets an important agreement. The amygdala instantly signals, danger, need to defend. Now imagine that on the top floor of this building lives a strict building manager, the prefrontal cortex. His job is to maintain order, monitor decency. When the amygdala starts rebelling, the manager comes downstairs and says, "Quiet." What will the neighbors think? We're cultured people. This is exactly what happens when you suppress anger. The prefrontal cortex literally gags the limbic system. But imagine what it's like to constantly scream into a gag. At this moment, a real chemical storm begins in your brain. Cortisol levels, the stress hormone, remain elevated. Serotonin, responsible for good mood, drops. Dopamine, which should provide a sense of satisfaction, gets blocked. But the most interesting recent discovery concerns the role of the cerebellum in managing aggression. It turned out that this ancient brain structure doesn't just coordinate movements, but also participates in emotional regulation. When you suppress anger, the cerebellum begins working in overload mode, trying to balance the internal chaos. Now it's important to understand, when you think you've pulled yourself together, you've actually triggered the most complex internal conflict. One part of the brain screams, fight. Another responds, be quiet. And this conflict requires enormous energy expenditure. Remember Sarah, an office worker from the neighboring department. For 3 years, she silently endured her boss's rudeness, swallowed humiliations every day, and told herself, I'm strong, I can handle it. Outwardly, she looked like a howl of professionalism. But one morning she couldn't get out of bed, not physically, but psychologically. A panic attack began. What happened? Her brain simply burned out from constant internal tension, like a computer that worked too long without rebooting. The paradox is that many consider aggression a sign of weakness and lack of self-control. But modern research shows the opposite. Controlled, conscious anger requires much more brain resources than suppressing it. And when these resources run out, emotional short-circuiting occurs. Imagine your brain is an iPhone. Every anger suppression is a background app that drains battery. And the more such apps, the faster your psyche's battery dies. Part 2. Where suppressed anger transforms. Now the most important thing. Where does all this suppressed energy go? Many think that if you stay silent, the offense will disappear by itself. That's like believing garbage in an apartment will evaporate if you just don't notice it. Suppressed anger doesn't disappear. It transforms. And these transformations are often more destructive than the original anger. The first transformation path is anxiety. Imagine anger as hot steam that should exit through a valve. If the valve is blocked, the steam begins to condense and turn thaws into cold, sticky fog of anxiety. Instead of clear understanding, this pisses me off, there appears a vague, something's wrong, I'm anxious, I'm worried but don't understand why. Michael, a 32-year-old programmer, never raised his voice. When his wife criticized him, he silently nodded. When colleagues dumped extra work on him, he agreed. But every night he was tormented by panic attacks. My heart pounds. I can't breathe. I think I'm dying, he told the psychologist. Where did this anxiety come from? From the basement, where unexpressed anger had been accumulating for years. The second path is depression. When anger can't find an exit outward, it turns inward. I'm bad, I'm weak, I'm incapable of anything. This is how suppressed aggression begins attacking the person themselves. It's like an army that can't fight an external enemy and starts warring with itself. The third path is somatization. The body begins to speak for emotions. Headaches, stomach problems, muscle tension, chronic fatigue. All this can be the language through which the body tries to express suppressed feelings. Helen, a mother of 2 children, considered herself the perfect wife. She never objected to her husband, never complained about fatigue, was always positive. But by 35, she developed irritable bowel syndrome. Doctors couldn't find organic causes. The reason was simple. Her intestines were angry instead of her. The fourth path is passive aggression. This is a particularly insidious form. The person can't express anger directly, so they do it sneakily, forgetting important tasks, being late for meetings, making sarcastic comments, creating chaos in small things. The fifth path is perfectionism and control. When the inner world seems unmanageable, the person begins obsessively controlling the external world. Every little thing must be perfect, every plan thought out to the smallest detail. This is an attempt to create an illusion of order outside when chaos reigns inside. Now ask yourself an honest question. Do you recognize yourself in these descriptions? Which path has your suppressed anger chosen? It's important to understand. All these transformations require colossal energy expenditure from the body. Instead of one honest emotion, you get a whole bouquet of symptoms that are much harder to deal with. Part 3. The physiological cost of suppression. Now let's talk about what price your body pays for emotional politeness. And this price, believe me, is quite real and measurable. When you suppress anger, your body doesn't understand that the conflict is resolved. For it, you're still in a state of combat readiness. Imagine a soldier who received the command, "ready for battle," took up weapons, but then was told, "Wait, don't shoot, just hold the rifle and smile." This is exactly what happens to your body. Muscles tense for a blow that won't happen. The heart accelerates for a run that won't begin. Adrenal glands release stress hormones for a battle that won't occur. And now for several hours, days, months, your body remains in a state of failed fight. Chronically elevated cortisol levels begin destroying the immune system. You get sick more often, recover longer, sleep worse. The cardiovascular system also suffers. Constant tension leads to hypertension. Blood vessels remain in a state of chronic spasm. Imagine a garden hose that's constantly being squeezed. Sooner or later, it will start cracking. Robert, a successful 40-year-old businessman, always prided himself on his calm. "I never lose my temper," he said. But at 40, he had a minor heart attack. The doctor asked him, "Do you often get nervous?" "Never," Robert answered. And it was true. He had just learned to hide his emotions so deeply that he couldn't understand them himself. The digestive system is another target for suppressed anger. The stomach literally digests itself with acid that was intended for processing food, not emotions. Ulcers, gastritis, irritable bowel syndrome are frequent companions of restrained people. But the most insidious thing is the impact on the immune system. Chronic stress from emotional suppression leads to the body beginning to attack itself. Autoimmune diseases, allergies, chronic inflammatory processes. All this can be a consequence of internal emotional war. Sleep is also disrupted. The brain can't relax because the battle between "I want to be angry" and "I can't be angry" continues inside. The person tosses and turns in bed, wakes up broken, has anxious dreams. The skin also suffers, the largest organ of our body. Eczema, psoriasis, adult acne. Often these are ways for the body to express what the voice cannot say. Maria, a 37-year-old teacher, was always an example of tact and restraint. But in recent years, she's been tormented by migraines that no medication can relieve. The neurologist finds no organic causes. The reason is simple. Every suppressed urge to yell at troublemakers in class turns into a headache. Now it's important to understand your body can't lie. It honestly reacts to your emotions, even if you deny them. And the longer you play the game, "everything's fine with me," the higher the price you'll have to pay. But there's good news. All these processes are reversible. As soon as you start honestly working with emotions, the body begins to recover. Part 4. Science-based methods for working with anger. So, we've established that suppressing anger is a road to nowhere. But what should we do then? Become an aggressive bully? Start yelling at everyone? Of course not. The first thing to understand, the goal isn't to vent anger, but to reduce physiological arousal. Many popular pieces of advice work exactly the opposite way. Hit a pillow, some shout. Scream in the car. Others advise. Exercise, say still others. But all these methods only increase nervous system arousal. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Imagine your nervous system as a car engine. When you're angry, the RPMs rise to the red zone. Your task is to smoothly reduce them, not rev the engine more. The most effective method is diaphragmatic breathing. This isn't just breathe deeply. It's a specific technique that physiologically switches the nervous system from fight or flight mode to rest and restore mode. Place one hand on your chest, another on your stomach. Inhale so that the hand on your stomach rises, not the one on your chest. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 2, exhale for 6. This is simple mathematics of calming. The second technique is progressive muscle relaxation. Anger always comes with muscle tension. Learn to consciously relax the body and emotion will follow. Start with your face. Relax your eyebrows, unclench your jaw, lower your shoulders. Go through your entire body from top to bottom. The third tool is cognitive reappraisal. This isn't self-deception like, everything's fine, abatash, anye, but honest analysis of the situation. Ask yourself, what exactly makes me angry? My expectations? Someone else's behavior? My helplessness? The more precisely you identify the source of anger, the easier it is to work with it. David learned to use the stop technique. Stop, take a breath, observe what's happening, proceed with understanding. When his boss started criticizing him again, David mentally said, stop, took a deep breath, realized, I'm angry because I feel injustice, and only then decided how to react. The fourth approach is decentering technique. Imagine observing your anger from the side. Interesting, now anger is rising in me. I feel heat in my chest, tension in my fists. This is a normal reaction to what happened. Such self-observation creates psychological distance from the emotion and doesn't let it capture you completely. The fifth strategy is physical practices that actually help. Not boxing or running, but yoga, swimming, long walks. Movements that help tension drain away, not accumulate it. Anna discovered evening walks for herself. After a hard day, she didn't sit in front of the TV but went walking. It's like I leave all the negativity on the street, she said. It's important to understand these techniques need to be mastered in advance when you're calm. You can't learn to swim during a storm. Practice a little each day, and then in moments of real anger, you'll have ready tools. And remember, the goal isn't to never be angry. The goal is for your anger to serve you, not destroy you. Part 5. Building healthy relationships with anger. Now, the most important thing, how to build healthy, long-term relationships with your own anger? How to turn this destructive force into an ally? The first step is changing your attitude toward the emotion itself. Anger isn't your enemy. It's your internal guard that signals violated boundaries. When a colleague's rudeness makes you angry, it means your value system is working properly. When injustice infuriates you, it speaks to your sense of dignity. Imagine anger as a fire alarm in your house. When it goes off, you don't run to pull out the batteries, do you? You look for the source of smoke. Same with anger. It's important not to silence the signal, but to understand what it's warning about. The second principle is learning to distinguish shades of anger. This isn't one emotion, but an entire palette. Irritation, resentment, indignation, rage, righteous anger. Each state has its function and its way of working with it. Olivia started keeping an anger diary. Every evening she wrote, "What made me angry today? What was behind it?" After a month, she saw a pattern. She was most infuriated by situations where her opinion was ignored. This helped her understand that the problem wasn't other people, but her inability to defend her viewpoint. The third element is creating safe space for expressing emotions. This doesn't mean you need to yell at everyone. It means you should have people and places where you can be honest about your feelings. Paul arranged anger sessions with his best friend. Once a week, they met and took turns telling each other about everything that pissed them off. No advice, no judgment, just venting. This is better than any therapy, Paul said. The fourth aspect is preventing emotional blockages. If you ignore small irritations, they'll accumulate and explode at the most inappropriate moment. It's better to take out the trash every day than to clean up the mess once a month. Establish a ritual of daily emotional debriefing. Before sleep, ask yourself, what bothered me today? What boundaries were violated? How do I feel about this? The fifth principle is learning to express dissatisfaction ecologically. This is an art that needs to be learned. Saying, I get angry when you're late because I feel disrespect for my time, instead of, you're always late, you're selfish. Iris learned to use the formula I feel, when, because, and I need. I feel irritation when you don't clean up your dishes because it creates the feeling that household chores are only my responsibility and I need help maintaining order. The sixth element is working with deep beliefs. Many fear anger because in childhood they learned, angry people are bad. You can't upset mommy. Good children don't throw tantrums. These attitudes need to be reconsidered. And finally, the most important thing is learning to forgive yourself for imperfect emotions. You have the right to be angry. You have the right to be imperfect. You have the right to defend your boundaries. Remember, a healthy person isn't one who never gets angry. A healthy person is one who knows how to be angry constructively. Conclusion. So, we've traveled a long way from the myth of the good person who doesn't get angry to understanding how to work with anger ecologically and safely. Let's summarize. Suppressed anger isn't a sign of strength. It's a one-way ticket to health problems. Your anger doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It transforms into anxiety, depression, bodily illness, and relationship destruction. But you have a choice. You can learn to listen to your emotions, understand their messages, and use their energy constructively. This doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a living person. Start small. Today, try the diaphragmatic breathing technique when you feel irritation. This week, start an emotion diary. Simply write down what made you angry and what was behind it. Next month, find someone you can honestly talk to about your feelings. And remember the main thing. Your emotions aren't enemies to be defeated. They're allies to be understood. Anger is your internal protector that cares about your boundaries and values. Learn to befriend it, and your life will change dramatically. You'll stop wasting energy on internal war with yourself. You'll become more sincere in relationships. Your body will thank you, and your soul will finally feel peace. Now ask yourself, what will change in your life when you stop being afraid of your own emotions? Are you ready to take the first step toward honesty with yourself?